Okay, let's talk some specifics about the redneck that's set up behind my shoulder right here. Okay, right off the bat, I'm standing in what last year was a fall, winter, spring plot, and actually this specific setup paid off. I ended up shooting a 7.5-year-old absolute beautiful buck from that redneck right there. And this was in cereal rye. That out there was in corn last year. Okay, but now let's get into some specifics. We are on this edge of a really long, narrow, winding ridge that's farmed the whole darn way. Okay, there's a reason that we're on this edge, because that way, if we're hunting the middle, man, that's high impact. That is. So what we're really trying to do here is draw them out to the edge a little bit, and this food plot does wonders. Now, as I said, last year it was in fall, winter, spring. This year it's going to be in brassicas. Okay, and then I'll follow that up. I will top seed that honey hole with 3 parts fall, winter, spring, 1 part lights out oats. Okay, at about 100 to 150 pounds an acre, depending on how lush the honey hole is. Okay, I'll wait for the honey hole to get up about 4 to 6 inches high. Okay, the brassicas in there, and then all I do is top seed. Just spread the seed right on top of the dirt in here. Okay, and then I'll follow that up with a frost seeding of trophy clover. I'll do that probably in February. Yeah, February, because you start pushing it much later than that in the Midwest and you run into trouble. Here is why this setup works. It works for 3 key reasons. One, that redneck there is actually tucked in. Far too many people end up placing elevated box blinds right smack dab out in the open. Now, that can work, but how are you going to get out of there in the after an afternoon hunt? How are you going to get into it in a morning hunt? Now, I mean, things like that really get to be an issue. You need to think about how you're going to get in and out, which is why this is on one end of the property. Okay, that way I don't have to disturb, well, anyone hunting it doesn't have to disturb anywhere near enough, okay, as much by trashing this whole ridge. As a matter of fact, what I will do, I'll go ahead and plant Antler King's screen product right along this edge here to screen off this plot. And then if there's deer out in the plot, well, and if there's deer out in the field but not in the plot, I can go ahead and suck on this side of the screen to get out, as long as the wind's blowing in this type of direction at all. Okay, if the deer are in the plot but not out in the field, I'll be able to sneak around along the other side of that screen. And keep in mind, frankly, for the most part, I'll be afternoon hunting this, so it'll be dark when I'm going out. In other words, if you wait for pitch dark and there's a deer 100 yards away, 9 times out of 10 they can't figure out what you are, and they just let you walk on by. But I can also slip through the woods. So we have those things going for us. We can get in, we can get out. We're going to be wearing black while we're hunting it, and we'll go ahead and blacken up the backside windows. The whole reason this redneck is here is because this is a primo spot. It's a primo spot. The trees along this edge do not work for a tree stand. Okay, when they don't work for a tree stand, I ask, can I get a ladder to work? You can generally get ladders up into smaller trees than you can a hang-on safely. Don't push it. But just because you got that brace at the bottom, you do have a little bit more stability. All right, when a ladder doesn't work, I'm either going for a bale blind or I'm going for a Buck Palace 360, one of the two, and it is going to be determined on whether or not how great the spot is. If it is a slam dunk killer spot, I'd actually prefer an elevated redneck on a 10-foot stand. Okay, but the point is I go through a checklist. Does a tree stand work? Nope. Does a ladder stand work? Nope. How good is this spot? I can either make a ground blind work or I can make an elevated stand work. But go ahead and match your choice to the setup. For example, this is tucked in. Now, a bale blind wouldn't have to be. It could be set right on the edge because it looks like a round bale. All right, so think about getting in and out of your stands. Okay. The less disturbance you make, the more you can hunt that location without those deer knowing you're there. Screening plays a role. Utilizing the appropriate methods for the appropriate stand, and then going ahead and lay out. This is all grain along this ridge. So guess what they're going to be doing? They're going to be hammering this green plot. Are they going to be hammering the grain? You darn right. But when you can go ahead and put an isolated green plot in surrounded by grain, now we're in business. Go ahead and go through a checklist in your mind when setting up. Can I get a tree stand in that location? Nope. Okay. Well, can I make a ladder stand work? Nope. All right. How good is this location? If it's really, really good, I personally tend to go for Buck Palace 360s on 10-foot stands. If it's good, but not, man, I'm going to be hammering this, I'm going to be hunting it a bunch, I'll go for a bale blind. Okay. Then think impact. This is on the edge of a ridge specifically so we don't have to go traveling down this ridge and kicking deer all over. All right, we're going to go ahead and screen this edge. That'll give us a little bit more cover. And then we will have green in this plot while all that's green. Add that up and you've got not a zero impact stand, but you've lowered your impact on a tremendous stand. We've got the redneck there, slap up a tree stand on the other side, you got multiple wins, and as I said, this already paid off last season, and I'm sure it's going to pay off for many seasons to come.